Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rantz.
It is my pleasure to announce the 2019 winner and 85th recipient of the Heisman Memorial Trophy is Joe Burrow, Louisiana State University. Congratulations, LSU.
Congrats, brother. Appreciate you. Good, bro. Love you, bro. Love you, too. So proud of you.
And welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of Sports Shorts, presented by LeBear's Casino. Ronnie Rantz here with you. Hope everybody enjoyed their Joe Burrow Heisman Weekend. We got a lot of Saints action coming up. Jacque Doucet of WAFB is our guest today. How are you, JD?
Ronnie, great to be with you, man.
What was it like to sleep in your bed last night the first time in about it seems like forever, huh? But all the travels of LSU.
Ronnie, I was joking with somebody that LSU won the SEC championship, a very significant event. That was a week and a couple of days ago, and it feels like 3 months ago.
Sure.
You know, when you win like this and you're accomplishing things at the rate LSU is, it's just you're moving on to the next thing. There's just been so much happening and almost too much to digest at once, really.
You just got back from New York City, your first trip to the Big Apple. Joe Burrow gets the Heisman Trophy, which is, something that's magical. I mean, being a 47-year-old, Billy Cannon is a legendary figure. You didn't really allow yourself to think about a Heisman winner at LSU, and surely it wasn't going to be a quarterback. It was going to be a running back or a defensive player. But Joe Burrow wins the Heisman in a landslide. When you think back to the last 4 days that you had in New York and everything and covering, what comes to mind the most?
Well, first of all, New York City, outside of me going to a sporting event, I've never seen so much humanity before. I mean, I took a walk around in Times Square Christmas season, so many people crossing the street. I told you the hotel we stayed at, the Marriott Marquis, had 2,000 rooms in it, a city in itself. I'll just remember Joe Burrow's video up in Times Square before the event. LSU did a remarkable job in terms of marketing and letting everyone know that their guy was there and was going to win. And then afterwards, when we got on the taxi leaving, it was early in the morning, 5, 6 in the morning, whatever it was. The streets were dead, and then there was this huge video of Joe Burrow with a helmet and saying Heisman across, just kind of nodding at you, playing in Times Square. His speech, obviously, will be, I thought that the speech at the podium matched what we've seen on the field for him. Every big situation he's been put in this year, he's delivered. He's never choked. He's never had a bad game. And the raw emotion of the interaction he had with his head coach, Ed Orgeron, there were grown men across the country, no matter who they pull for in college football, that had tears in their eyes. I just saw Mr. Flynn Foster there. He said he was hunting with a group of Ole Miss fans, and they all had tears in their eyes watching it. So, it's funny, Ronnie, recently I visited with longtime voice of the Tigers, Jim Hawthorne, and I talked to him about his Warren Morris call and how it was his most identifiable call, and said what made that call great was that it was spontaneous, it wasn't contrived, it wasn't rehearsed. You would have never, of course it was. Who would have thought he would have hit a home run?
And a 3-run homer at that.
So this, we kind of knew Burrow was going to win, but I think what made his speech so great was that it wasn't contrived, it wasn't manufactured, it came from the heart, and there was a lot of raw emotion there. And for him to talk about the people of Ohio, impoverished, not having any money. I heard just this morning, like the local food bank or whatever has raised like $100,000 already. This is where sports and people like Joe Burrow can make an impact, not only on their sport, but just across the board.
Yeah, I saw actually a friend of mine donated to probably the GoFundMe page, and this is, as we tape this show here midday on Monday, this was a couple of hours ago, and there was over 125,000 already to raise in money. The goal was like 150, and to raise money for the folks over there. Just a comment that kind of caught y'all a little off guard, like, oh wow, he's going deep here, and he throws it out there, and it's going to make a huge impact. So it's pretty cool.
And for a 23-year-old too,
right,
to teach us, this would have been the ultimate chance for him to tell Ohio State, you kiss my, what,
Right.
I wasn't good enough to play for you, and I just won the Heisman. And how much could you show somebody, And the fact that he went out and found the Ohio State coaches and gave them a hug and showed them respect, I thought that was really, and not to get preachy on you, whatever, but because I missed church yesterday flying back. But one thing I always heard in church was those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Joe Burrow chose to humble himself, and he was exalted.
Yeah, he's the ideal example of that line, no question about it. He's done that all year long. The only bobble he had in his speech, if you even want to call it that, was I forgot Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but then that was the first thing he talked about in his post-press conference was recognizing his teammate.
And that's one of his best friends, too. So it was probably like he probably, well, certainly I mentioned Clyde,
Right.
I mean, they're always hanging out, taking pictures, and I did? Oops. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they joked about it a lot since then.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Couple things I want to hit on. You mentioned, first off, the record-breaking way that Joe Burrow won the Heisman, and oh, by the way, the speech was fantastic, and we're going to play it in its entirety at the end of the show. So stick around, because this will be probably the 5th time you've watched the speech, because you've probably watched it online a few times, and you'll probably at least watch this speech once a year for the remainder of your life, because they're going to play it in Baton Rouge, or social media is going to have a whirlwind every year around the Heisman. No doubt about it. But we'll have it for you at the end of Sports Shorts today, the entire speech. But I'm so glad that O.J. Simpson's name gets wiped from the record books, right? Because prior to this year, he had the record for the biggest margin of victory for a Heisman Trophy winner, the biggest differential between first and second place. And that was back in 1968 when O.J. was at USC. So, and then he put out the Twitter video congratulating Joe. Did you see it?
Absolutely.
Oh,
and
it made me sick.
I do drop in on OJ's Twitter from time to time.
Right,
I've never clicked the follow button because I'm afraid of what's going to come my way, because people can see who you follow and whatnot. The comments are always the same. Killer tweet, OJ. I'm having problems with my wife, OJ. Any suggestions? I mean, just really brutally stuff that you would never say to somebody in person. But it was interesting in the fact that he did go to USC, and he made mention of, how did we let Ed Orgeron go as the head coach? What a huge mistake. Congratulations to Joe Burrow. I wasn't watching the broadcast closely enough, but I was told that OJ's name wasn't mentioned. Maybe they brought up the biggest landslide was this year, but they didn't say the name.
I did hear it on. I heard
something.
it on national radio and stuff, and I know after they mentioned it on the radio, at least on ESPN radio. But yeah, you're right. I don't believe they did mention it during the 1 hour special.
Yeah, still a very polarizing thing. It's not something like me and you were having a chat with several people, and there were different people of different colors. It's not a topic to bring up, because it really just, till this day, 25 years later, there's a lot of emotions about he did it, he didn't do it, he was framed or whatever. But
I don't think anybody that thinks he didn't do it. I think there's a segment of the population that believes, But I would wish the Russians would hack his Twitter account and delete him from the face of the earth. I mean, my goodness. I mean, how is it that his Twitter and his everything doesn't get hacked? Do we need to somebody figure it out? Can we all pitch a GoFundMe to hack his account? Or something
I saw one guy say, OJ, when they gonna give you your blue check? Because he does that.
Oh, that's right.
Blue check, the verified. It's like you're pushing it, buddy. So.
But the thing about the ceremony. I was shocked at how much love he gave Ohio State. It didn't bother me. I think some of the hardcore fans might be like, wait a minute, But I thought that was really pretty cool of a guy who realizes, A, he's from Ohio, grew up a Buckeye fan to a certain extent. Obviously, Nebraska was his team. We know that. Spent 3 years there, met his girlfriend there. He's from Ohio, and oh, by the way, he's going to be living there a while, because I'm sure the Bengals are going to take him first pick in the draft. So it was not only was it the right play from a PR standpoint and everything to it, it was definitely genuine, and it really taught, I think, a lot of life lessons, right, for people out there. The fact that he is so close still with that program, former coaches, former players, that stood out the most to me.
before the Vanderbilt game this year in Nashville, Nashville is relatively close to his hometown, a 4 or 5 hour drive, something like that. So his family, his dad Jimmy, his mother Robin, his brothers, Jamie, Dan, I think is his other brother's name. They all came down. They had this big party at a Nashville bar restaurant on Friday night, and all these people from Athens, Ohio
Over
came.
100,
yeah, huge crowd, and got a chance to go and interview and talk to these people. And really, my impression talking to these people, Ohio natives seem to be really good people, salt of the earth, work hard, believe in good family values, work values, and I enjoyed meeting them all. And I think that they share a lot in common with Louisiana people, and I think they've blended well, and I think that relationship will continue for as long as Joe Burrow's around.
Do you know, and what's interesting is if LSU does end up playing Ohio State in the national championship, I'm curious, what segment of that Joe Burrow fan club in Ohio stays loyal to the Burrow name or goes with their hometown state team, which they probably are.
And I don't blame, and Ronnie, I don't blame Ohio State for anything.
Right.
They've had really good players at the position.
It wasn't like they overshot and got, we played Haskins. He was a bum. No, it was a first-round pick,
Right. And Joe Burrow himself said, when I first got to Ohio State, this was a good soundbite that you asked me about earlier. He said, when I first got to Ohio State, if you'd asked the guys in, they would have said, we should probably take a scholarship away. You heard Urban Meyer say he threw like a girl and different things. He was not who he is now.
Sure.
The kid out of high school, they were not recruiting this Joe Burrow, so he admitted, he's come a long way. It was his progression as a player and as a person that got him to winning the Heisman. And like we said, Ohio State, they're undefeated and they're number 2 or 1, however you want to look at it. LSU's number 1 in the rankings, but they've done fine.
I think the thing about Joe Burrow that's super impressive is the correlation between he and a player like a Drew Brees. He's obviously bigger in physical stature than a Drew Brees, but the mental aspect of it. I mean, the guy had one class this semester, so he basically was a full-time football player, and he lived in the film room with he and Brady and Ensminger, constantly game planning, constantly watching film, like a professional quarterback would, to where he knew this offense inside and out. And there were times where he would throw the football to a spot, couldn't maybe see a player, but just knew instinctually, all right, that's where this guy's going to be, and just threw it, and there he was. That's next level stuff. That's high level pro type stuff. And I think that beyond the physical, the fact that he just had such a tremendous grasp of the offense and knew where to go mentally on everything, that made up for the lack of arm strength or whatnot.
Yeah, I think one difference between the two, Drew never really never wastes any energy or any time smack talking. You never see him getting into a group of people and pointing at people. He's so locked in, and I'm sure when he's thrown an interception, guys have yelled stuff at him, hey, old man, or whatever, and he just walks off the field. Joe has partaken in some of that, the pageant wave and the thing at Vanderbilt. He whispered something in the guy's ear, and he got all upset, had to be held back and everything. So I asked him that at the Heisman. I said, you've never been cocky in terms of like press conferences before playing a team. You never say, we're going to beat these guys or they're terrible. He's always very respectful, but when you get on the field, you're different. And he said, yeah, my parents have told me, you don't act that way around us. He's like, well, there's a Joe off the field, and there's the Joe that steps between the white lines. It's like two different people there. And so I guess that's one difference between the two. But, Joe is bigger. He's 6'4", 216. Drew Brees is maybe 5'11", 209, 205. But Joe does not have a huge arm. He does not have, Brandon Harris could probably throw it a lot further than he can. I think it's all about the touch. It's about, he can get it down there, don't get me wrong, but it's not like
it didn't have
rocket
that
arm.
Big-time zip. Right.
Yeah.
He just has tremendous placement and can anticipate.
80%, Ronnie, on passes this year. It's incredible. Drew Brees is like at 74 or something like that.
And the biggest thing is in the biggest games he's been is as good as ever. It's not like he racked up all these numbers against inferior competition. And all the big games that he's played, he's had a tremendous ball game, and his completion percentage is like 77% against the top 10 teams in the country.
And look, every fan base has annoying people. I know that. But all year long, I had Alabama fans in my Twitter mentions, in my Facebook comments. Well, just wait till November 9th. You're going to get whipped as usual. And that performance right there, almost 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ran for another 64.
Right.
I mean, that he won the Heisman on that day probably.
He's Jacque Doucet. He's just got back from New York City where I brought in, you covered history for WAFB and did a great job on it. We'll continue our conversation with him. And one of the things that Jacque touched on was the great job that the LSU department did on their videos this year. We'll show you the Heisman promo, and we'll talk about that when we return next on Sports Short.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.
Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rantz.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Shorts, presented by LeBears Casino. LeBears this past weekend, little Aaron Neville in concert. You missed it, Jacque. You were at the Heisman Awards, but little Aaron Neville, half Christmas favorite hits and half regular.
Here's my Aaron. Look at this face. I know there's a showing.
That's kind of a little Kermit.
Yeah, maybe so. What was the duet? Was it? I don't know much.
I don't know much, but I know I love. Listen, Aaron Neville Christmas Season's Greetings CD. I got it back late 80s, early 90s, something like that. Top 10 for me for sure. Maybe top 5. I mean, it's strong, Coach. It's a very strong Christmas CD. And by the way, if you don't have New Year's Eve plans, make sure you go to LeBears Casino. It's good. It's the best New Year's Eve party in all of Baton Rouge. They've got a great show upstairs, a couple thousand people upstairs. It's pay one price ticket, all you can drink, great music, and we'll have the drop for you, the 12 o'clock drop for you that I'll MC at LeBears upstairs. And if not, you can be downstairs in the Edge Lounge. They got music and there's 3 different bands playing in LeBears on New Year's Eve, so go check it out. Jacque Doucet of WAFB with us, and last segment we were talking a little bit about Joe Burrow and the whole New York City experience. We'll get back to that, but kind of tease this going to break. You're a guy obviously knows a lot about sports and videos and the hype videos that LSU football has put out in the last couple of years is just, it's skyrocketed the attention it's got. It's gone up and up and up. The views, the clicks, the shares, the star power of who voices the hype videos each week. But now, it's even bigger than that, right? There's more than just the hype video. They are putting out content left and right. And of course, right now, why not? There's great content to put out. But it goes back to this stuff started a little bit. I give Skip Burtman a little credit, right? You got to go back about 20, 25 years ago in the 90s. Coach Burtman, who was always a big motivational guy, started doing these little videos for his baseball teams when they were rolling and won 5 national championships during that decade. And this was circa 96, 97. He started doing these internal little videos where they would take a movie like Braveheart and and slice in scenes from the movie along with scenes of hitting home runs and action. And John Jackson, who at the time had just left WBRZ and of course now does a great job, for many, many years, sports and outdoors shows. But John Jackson was really the paid guy that Skip would hire for about 5 years to do these motivational videos. And they would play it, they would show it to the team, the Friday or the Saturday of a big series weekend. They'd watch the video and then they'd run out the door, fire it up, and go play a game. If they had social media back then, if they had Twitter and Snapchat and all this other stuff, we would think about LSU baseball videos and John Jackson and all that in the same regards because it was so ahead of their time. But that said, now 20 years later, LSU is at the top. They're in the lead position for these sports internal, I guess, hype videos and everything else in the country. Like nobody's getting the attention, the views, the likes that LSU football is getting right now.
Yeah, and it's something you have to anticipate. Once the moment happens, you can't say it would be good if we had a video right now. You got to be ready, boom, to hit it and send it out. And really, and then the videos in advance, just to get the person who voices it, whoever that person is, whether it's Tim McGraw or Burt Jones or whatever. Okay, where is this person? We got to find him. Okay, he's got to track this video, and perhaps they don't track it perfectly the first time. Okay, you flubbed that line. Do it again. Or we'd like you to say it this way. I mean, just that process alone has to take time. Then you get the audio in house, and then do the editing. So really, the problem is now they got to keep it up. The
bar is raised, right?
Yeah, they're doing a video every week for every game, and credit to them. I mean, they are cranking out a lot of content. I saw the video. First, there was a famous video of Joe Burrow running out on Senior Day with the camera behind him. Now he's running out, and it says Heisman on the back of it. Now he's won the Heisman. They've superimposed that on it. So, yeah, and it goes back to Ronnie. It's all about recruiting. Everything is about recruiting. Yeah. Why are they playing that rap music in Tiger Stadium? I can't say. All about recruiting. Right. Why are they playing that heavy metal?
Players want.
That's what the players want. And
by the way, they're not playing heavy metal. I know you want them to, but they don't.
I've heard a little Metallica. Is it a Seek and Destroy? I think they cranked that one out a little bit.
It must have been just an homage to you, because nowadays, unfortunately, your favorite genre is slowly dying.
They still play what I'd call the candy rock, the Living on a Prayer, and Don't Stop Believing. Well, that'll always be there, but anyway, yeah, it's all about recruiting and putting this stuff out because, Coach Orgeron said it. We go to our team meal. I'm like, guys, can you put your phones down for
he's begging him
5 minutes so we can do the team prayer or before the meal. And then a second, it's time to eat. It's back with it, which, I can't say anything. I'm way too dependent on that myself, but that's just the way it is now. That's how recruits are seeing things. They're seeing things on video. You and I grew up at 6 o'clock watching the local news or watching something at television at 7 o'clock or whatever, and now it just doesn't go that way. It's about seeing things on your phone. It's about little 5-minute pieces of this or 2-minute pieces of that. Nobody's going to sit and watch Dave Letterman these days. I know he's off the air, but for a total hour. Okay, it's like let me watch that 5-minute thing that Jimmy Kimmel did with Jennifer Lopez when they were doing the tight pants thing or whatever. The lip sync battle or whatever. So,
this young man Will Stout, who is one of the main editors on these packages. He actually was off the bench with Collada and T-Bob about a week or so ago. Talked a little bit about the process. He's a part of a team, but he's the main guy, and we'll talk about him and his story here in just a second. I want to show you, kind of remind people of how good the work is. This was the little about 1.5 minute hype video for Joe Burrow going into Heisman week. Have a listen.
Anyone can be a star.
Gary Stovall.
On the break zone, Charlie Alexander, Lynn Dorsey, and Matthew.
Make a few plays, win a few games, and the spotlight will come. But to be an icon, that's a different story altogether. Icons are timeless. Their star never fades. Their swagger transcends generations. Every icon is different. He's a story unto himself. He writes his own story. He creates his own future. And once you see him, he stays with you forever.
They call me bad, and I'll punish you. You ain't how you would read people, I ain't gonna do it. Johnny, I grab my plate up off the lunch table. I told my mom, might be a Heisman moment right there. Set it off, baby. Set it off. Don't make us set it off. Set it off, baby. Set it off.
I've been told I wasn't good enough since recruiting.
If you're a hard worker, people are going to respect you, and that's all I try to bring to the table.
Welcome to the club, Joe.
Well, as a guy who has edited a lot of videos, you've actually done it. I've been the guy as a producer that sat over the shoulder of of the editor and talked about doing videos many, many times. How long do you think that took just to do that minute and a half video right there?
Obviously, hours.
Is that a full day, 2 days?
Oh, yeah, definitely a full day.
Yeah.
There's different kinds of editing, Ronnie. There's the kind of the long-term editing, like that's long-term editing, and then there's the editing when it's 5:30 and your story's hitting at 6. And,
right.
And you're in New York City and you're sweating it out or whatever, you're just banging it out just to fill a spot. But that I would imagine it took hours.
And also the Will Stout, he did the music remix of that song as well. So he started on a Saturday, had it done I think like Sunday night. I think it was.
Yeah, he
so
started with the Will who did the
10 hours, more or less.
Yeah, I mean it's there's so many different shots in that video. You got to grab it from different places. And obviously he did some filter things with some of the coloring and
I don't know how like the last shot of New York City there.
Yeah.
Who shot
the
that?
superimposed 9.
Yeah.
Obviously that stock video that he got, but then to superimpose that see-through 9 on there. I mean, I don't even know if you got the equipment to do that. You know what I mean? Like
I won't be doing that today. I'll tell you that.
Right. I mean, but. Obviously, LSU has the toys, and Cody Worsham gets a lot of the credit because he's the guy who does the writing, and the writing on all of those. That was Tyrann Mathieu who voiced that piece. But each week, I mean, Cody's writing.
Cody does an amazing job. He really digs up facts. He spends a lot of time. He did that story on the guys catching 10,000 passes over the summer, documenting that. I mean, it's not just. The Twitter world it's the ADD world. It's the quick thought. It's the quick thing or whatever. Now you can attach links that you spend a lot of time on a story. Here's a story. But what he does really is long-handed stuff that takes a lot of time to dig up these facts and numbers and stuff. And he does a really good job.
So I want to get to Will Stout for a minute. The guy's a junior in college. He's not getting paid, or if he is, it's a student worker job type thing. So he's getting an hourly or something like that. If Will Stout were an athlete, if he was a football player, he'd be a first-round pick in the video world, maybe the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
My question is, now that everybody knows it has a peek behind the Oz curtain, and they know who the guy is back there that's putting together these products, well, if you were a video company or a film company, why wouldn't Will Stout be like the super guru, young, hip guy you got to go get?
He'd be the Joe Brady of video editing.
I mean, I would hope that everybody else over in that building's getting a raise, right? I mean, Coach O's going to be in the Bahamas with his big raises. All those. I mean, how about Joe Brady from $40,000 a year with the New Orleans Saints, which is what he was getting, to $400,000 a year the very next year with the LSU Tigers, to now anywhere from 1.6 to 1.8 million a year, which is being reported that he'll probably get next year with LSU. I mean, that's a pretty good jump, Coach, in 2 years.
I remember when we asked Sean Payton, like back in, August or July about Joe Brady. And he was complimentary, but he was kind of like, it's a guy from time to time that we would call on for maybe help on, It just wasn't like, when they hired him, to me.
It was straight, you're being nice, Jacques, because it was really like, who? Joe Brady, Sean. Joe Brady. Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's just sitting in the back of the room. Great. Yeah, the way he made that coffee was amazing.
It reminded me.
He was nobody.
It kind of reminded me when LSU, remember when they hired Billy Gonzalez to be the passing game coordinator?
That. Sure.
He just kind of like, okay, this might help, but it's not going to be like revolutionary. I remember the first practices with Gonzalez, they put like a little yellow thing on the cone of the football. Ooh, look, it's a yellow thing. The guys are looking in the ball and everything, but it's been beyond anybody who said, oh, yeah, well, maybe Joe Burrow. And some of the guys, the players knew, but everyone was kind of like, really? 50, 60 points a game, 40, 50, 60 points a game. You got shut out by Alabama last year. These are the same guys pretty much. That just goes to show you how important it is to change the scheme. And I love Les Miles and everything, but as the years go on, or people could be saying, God, if they just would have made some changes. he still been the head coach, they could have, won at this level.
Look, I think it was the perfect storm, right? And look, Joe Brady, get your money. Steve Ensminger, probably the most, one of the more humble guys out there, right? Because he has not gotten
does not want to be on camera. Doesn't want
to interview people. Is okay with Brady getting all the love. Brady's going to make more money than him next year. Is that fair? Is that right? Probably not. But at the end of the day, it's because you got a 60-something-year-old coach and you got a 30-year-old coach. One's more, hey, this guy hits the street, probably not as many people calling. This guy hits. It's all supply and demand, right? Don't worry, Steve's going to be making by $1 million a year. He's going to retire in a few years. And he's doing great. Yeah. But at the same time, there's got to be a part of him that's like, hey, man, I'm back here drawing up plays, calling plays, and I'm not getting any love. But that's the kind of guy he is. And being number one, he's an LSU guy, and that pays a lot of dividends. He's from here. This is his place. And because of that, he's been the ultimate team guy. You can see the connection between Brady and Ensminger. They're genuine friends. You see the connection with the families. Brady's always hugging on Steve Ensminger's family, and they all love him. So it's a great situation. And I'm glad to see that LSU's going to be able to keep him, at least for a little while longer. And hopefully this will implement a plan that will stay here regardless of what happens to Brady in the future.
We have seen in the past, even when things are hunky-dory and things cannot be any better than they are right now for LSU football, like take the 1985, Chicago Bears, for example. Then Mike Ditka starts doing too many commercials, and why is this guy getting credit instead of this guy or whatever. I think LSU's got a good group of people and a good group of leaders. I mean, even Justin Jefferson could be like, well, why does Jamar Chase win the Blitnikoff? I'm just as good as he is. Or the players could be like, well, why does Joe Burrow get all the credit? Why does he win the Heisman? Or Steve Ensminger. Why does this 30-year-old get all the credit, this Joe Brady guy? I don't think there's any of that going on right now. I think that they're all on the same page, and I know it's crazy to say this, but I think Joe Burrow would have preferred breaking down footage of Oklahoma than winning, being at the Heisman for some of those events. I can't say winning the award.
I definitely winning the award. By the way, Joe Burrow, and I talked to a mutual friend of ours. We had Trey Ledbetter with Sudden Fundraising on our show last week for a segment to kind of talk about what is to come for a guy like Joe Burrow off the field, right? Yeah. And I can tell you firsthand that that $100,000 conversation was had about signing some autographs, and it was like, that's the Joe Burrow's going to make $1 million. Joe Burrow's going to make $1 million signing memorabilia probably before May. You know what I mean? That's that's not counting any other endorsements, any other contract, his football contract, Gatorade, nothing. We're talking about just doing some private signings for whatever marketing company he ends up signing with on January the 13th and a half. He's going to be a millionaire just in memorabilia before tax day.
If L'Auberge Casino, which the big arena seats about 1,000,
1,500, 1,700 people.
If you guys did an event, come out, meet Joe Burrow. The Molly Ringwalds will play.
$100 a ticket.
$100 a ticket. You'd sell them immediately. I've thought about that. Appearance fees. People, Red Rock and Blue. I'm like, don't put that pressure on me. I don't think. Right. I'd love to have him. Build the whole event around him, but he can. Like you said, the autographs and everything.
As great a guy as he is, I mean, he's a genuinely good person. His family's good people. I've gotten a chance to meet them a number of times. They are good, regular people.
Yes.
But, and I say this as a but, their world is flipping upside down as we speak, and it is not going to stop. The demands, the request, the pressure for an interview, for an appearance, even paid. I mean, we're not talking about just free stuff. We're talking about like paid. Like at some point, Joe Burrow is going to have to truly be a special person to keep that humble pie-ness about him, because it is going to be obnoxious for the next X amount of years.
Billy Cannon passed away 2 years ago, and if we had Billy Cannon at an event, he was still drawing a very big crowd of people to autograph this, autograph that. I mean, he was the only
55 years after, 60 years after the fact.
He was a legend.
Right.
He will always be a legend, and Joe Burrow will always be a legend moving forward. That's how it is.
And I'll this is what I expect out of Joe Burrow. One, he's from Southeast Ohio. His family's there. He's already said the Heisman Trophy is going in his parents' house. Now, there'll be probably a replica or something that, I don't know how that works.
TJ Ribbs not getting the next one?
Can you believe that? I don't really know the rules of the Heisman. Like, can you make multiple replicas and things like that? Does the school get one to put in their lobby at the facility? I would imagine they do. But Joe's going to have one personally. And so anyway, because Reggie Bush had to give his back.
Yes, he did.
He had to give his back after the sanctions. But so Joe will have one in Ohio. LSU, but Joe's not going to be living here. He's going to be playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's from Ohio. So it'll make him even more valuable to the state of Louisiana because you're not going to see him at Albertsons. You're not going to see him at Calandro's. When you're just walking around, he's not here.
Not accessible.
He's going to be living in Ohio. So for him to come to the Heart Association Gala is not going to happen. Whereas a guy like a Billy Cannon even, or any of the former Tiger greats, the Stovall's, the Kevin Falks, the Hodgsons, they lived in Louisiana. They're from Louisiana. This guy's not. So his appearances in the state over the next X amount of years are going to be infrequent. So it's going to be even more of a supply and demand for his time and attention. It's probably a good thing for him that he will be living in Ohio because he'll be able to get away from it a little bit.
I've heard things over the years that, Drew Brees could easily charge $30,000 to $50,000 to make an appearance somewhere. Right now with Joe Burrow, he could probably do the same thing.
Drew Brees gets his retail price for signings of autographed things are about $210 per signature. Okay, so if you go to Drew Brees and you got 100 footballs and you got to go through his marketing, you got 100 things, you want to get him a sign, the price is like about $210, $220.
Now, we'll say this, at training camp after practice,
he'll sign.
He goes out and he signs everything. He'll stay out there for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah,
so
don't do
really
that.
Good.
But if you want to go for a professional signing and
where
he sits down and signs 200 pieces for you or something like that, he's got a set price of about $210. This is according to Trey with Southern Fundraising. To give you, Alex Bregman right now, I think is running about $150. I think is his signature, something like that. I think that's where he's at. Maybe it might be a little bit more now because it's like a stock market. It goes up, it goes down. Tom Brady, on the other hand, hardly ever does those types of things, but his signature is about $1,200.
Nice.
So when you talk about the greatest of all time, and I know as fans of the Saints, we want to say Drew Brees is the greatest of all time. It's not. He's not. He's not. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Tom Brady gets $1,000, $1,200, $1,400 per signature in bulk.
Does Giselle sign lingerie? Can he get
Giselle
money?
probably gets more. But so you got Tom Brady, you got Alex Bregman in $150 to $200. You got Brees $200. Joe Burrow is going to be in that conversation. Joe Burrow is going to get probably right now, and this is just your best guess, he's probably going to be in the $100 to $150 range, for a good professional signature with, Joe Burrow, Heisman, 2019 on it. It's going to run you about $150 just for him to sign that football, that picture, whatever. Now, he can sign free all he wants walking through the airport or wherever, But as far as to go get a bunch of autographs,
predetermined, he's going to be here at this time, come and see him type deal.
Deal with his marketing firm to get your slot. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how his life is going to change. And oh, by the way, Will Stout's life should change. Get that man paid over there. That young junior in college at LSU puts out those great videos, man. Get that man some meal money. All right, we'll take a timeout. Sports Shorts presented by LaBears Casino. We'll be back with more conversation with JD, Jacque Doucet.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts. Ronnie Rantz, Jacque Doucet of WAFB, who grew up a lifelong Tiger fan, Saints fan, all that from Southwest Louisiana. And I know it seems like we say this all the time whenever, you've been fortunate. At WAFB, you've covered 3 national championship games. LSU won 2 of them. You covered an LSU Final Four in basketball, a national championship in baseball, all the other sports, a Super Bowl for the Saints.
Women's sports, I didn't know anything about women's sports,
right.
And I went to the Final Four with
5
them
times.
5 times in a row, been to the
Right.
softball World Series,
Women's Super Six and gymnastics.
Gymnastics, yeah.
It's been this past 20 years has truly been the greatest time in LSU athletic history. But there's just something different and special about LSU football. It's like when that's going on, I don't know. You can answer this. What's bigger, LSU Heisman National Championship or Saints Super Bowl from a statewide perspective, as far as what it means to the state and the feeling around the state, from Shreveport to New Orleans to Lake Charles to Monroe to Natchitoches? Which is bigger?
I don't want to upset anybody comparing them. I did find that when I moved to Baton Rouge, there was a small contingent of anti-Saint people here, like some brushback on the Saints, and I'd never seen that anywhere before.
And where you think? Why do you think that was?
I think it comes from LSU is number one, and I never viewed it. I was like, I root for LSU on Saturday, and I root for the Saints on Sunday. So sometimes, but then there was also that kind of brushback of, well, they stink, and the whole, here you go, and the whole state gives money to the Saints,
we're keeping
subsidizes.
them alive. We're keeping them alive because keep in mind, pre-Katrina, there was always the conversation about maybe moving and things like that.
Tom Benson, people didn't like him.
San Antonio and Benson, we heard that for 20 years.
Yeah, I remember when he was talking about building a stadium in Biloxi and like changing him to the Gulf Coast Saints or something ridiculous. But anyway, he kind of, in his later years, I think he became much more popular and started doing things a lot better. And obviously his wife's doing a pretty good job with the team. But anyway, in Lafayette, it was Saints are huge, where I grew up. And there was a little, there were a few Raging Cajun fans that didn't like LSU and all that. But I will say that they're pretty comparable, LSU and Saints, in terms of surreal, as in when I was in New York seeing Joe Burrow win the Heisman, it was very similar to watching Tracy Porter run back the interception and knowing that the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl. I think those things are very comparable. And wow, is this really happening? Am I really here? Because these are things that, like we said, when's LSU going to get a quarterback? Not only did they get the one, he's the best in the country. He's the best football player in the country. So that was pretty amazing. So, LSU has alumni, people that graduate from there that will root for them for the rest of their lives. The Saints have fans that grew up on the team. In New Orleans, it's all about the Saints. They've got an NBA team there, but it's little brother to the Saints. And so, I don't know. There's 102,000 people in Tiger Stadium. There's 72,000 in the Superdome. There could be more in the Superdome. I think LSU football is bigger, I think, statewide.
I think that the thing you hit on at the end, right? First off, the stadium is bigger. You go to a Saints game versus an LSU game, a big Saints game versus a big LSU game, you got about 25,000 more fans that are at the LSU game versus the Saints game. Yeah. But also, we're talking about 100+ years of history of a team in this state, alumni, grandma, grandpa, you went to the games with them, you graduated, you walked on the campus. A lot of the players are from this state. The Saints, these guys are in and out. They're all alumnus of elsewhere. They live elsewhere. Drew Brees is going to move to San Diego when he retires, folks. Don't think he's going to be living in uptown New Orleans the rest of his life like Archie. Not happening. He's going to San Diego. These people are from elsewhere. They went to college elsewhere. Yeah, they played for the Saints for a year or 2 or 3 or 4, and they love the Saints, but it's different when you're a professional player versus your college, right? Your college the college you play for, you will be attached to for the rest of your life.
The Golden Band. I mean, there's people in the band, the Tiger Girls. It goes on and on.
Ties. And I understand that there are other colleges out there. There are other fan bases, whether it's the Raging Cajuns, Louisiana Tech, UL, Tulane. There's other fan bases, and within those fan bases, there's some that don't like LSU, that only pull for their school, and I get that. But the population in the state is over 4 million people, and the majority of those 4 million people are going to pull for Louisiana State University. Yeah. And I just think it means more. But for me personally, it's bigger for the Saints to win. And here's why I believe that, because I was there in 03 and 07 and 11 for all those games and been there for the 2 national championships and cried in 03, standing next to Kevin Mawae in a suite, cried out when the Saints won. I mean, when LSU won. But the reaction I had in 09 when I was in Miami, when my brother and I went to Miami, and that was like one of the top 5 days of my life. Like just everything, waking up. And I was like, it's because it's so unbelievable, right? LSU, we expect them to be good. We think LSU football, post Nick Saban era, since 2000 when Nick Saban came, we believe LSU should be competing for a national championship, that they should win a national championship every once in a while. With the Saints, prior to 09, there was really never the belief it was ever going to happen.
No.
Right? And so it was so amazing. It was so incredible when they won the Super Bowl in 09 that I had a much deeper reaction physically, emotionally, and every other way. And I think most people around the state did. Now, will it be the same again if the Saints are fortunate enough to win it this year or whenever? Probably won't be the same as it was that first time. But I think if you had to choose what's better for the state, from Shreveport to Natchitoches to New Orleans to everywhere in between, I think it makes a bigger impact for LSU to win it.
Well, the 58 LSU team, that was gonna be it. I mean, it was like LSU's gonna be good. The Tommy Hotson 87 team went 10-1-1, finished 5th in the country. That's about as good as it was gonna get. Winning a national title, probably not. And so when they won it in 2003, that was definitely a kind of, I can't believe this is happening. Then in 2007, they win it again. And your guy, Skip Bertman, a famous line he told me, which I believe is, to all my friends out there, I wish 1 national championship. And to all my enemies, I wish 2. Because after 2, it's over. Everyone's spoiled. You expect to win it every single year, Right. And I'll even admit, as a media person, I think I got spoiled in 2007. Then it was just kind of like, I'm not really appreciating what I'm covering as much, because it's going to start happening. Right. And then in 2011, they're playing in Superdome. They're going to beat Alabama, and then they don't. And then LSU hadn't won one in 12 years. And so I think just from my perspective, I've made an effort to enjoy covering this season a lot more, because years like this are not going to happen every year.
I think that's well said. We are coming down the stretch with Drew Brees. Don't know how much longer he's going to play. Oh, by the way, as we tape here on Monday, tonight, the Saints take on the Colts. The 10-year anniversary of beating the Colts in the Super Bowl. The 09 team's going to be there, get honored at halftime. Many of the players are going to be there. One last kind of thought on that is it's amazing it's been 10 years, and you mentioned Tracy Porter. The legend will live on.
I had a chance to see Tracy Porter not long ago and just chat with him about, hey man, you made the 2 biggest interceptions in the history of the Saints against Brett Favre in the NFC and the Super Bowl. I mean, you're going to be mentioned forever, and that was a lot of fun covering that team. I went to the Washington Redskins game that year on the road. A guy named Sean Swisham had a 23-yard field goal to ice the game for the Redskins, and he missed it. And some Redskins cheerleader behind me said, "This is how we always lose." And then sure enough, Robert Meacham down the seam. They win in overtime. It's like, how does that
even happen?
Yeah, and that's the kind of year it was.
One guy who won't be there is Darren Sharper. He will not be at that reunion.
You get 100 guys together, there's always a bad apple in the group.
JD, thanks so much, man. I know you enjoyed your time in New York. Had to be a dream come true. Well, we'll take a break. When we come back, LSU fans, we'll have the full speech. Get the tissue box ready, and it's never going to get old. You'll hear from Joe Burrow next.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.
Welcome back to Sports Shorts, presented by LeBear's Casino. Well, it's never gets old, and it'll never get old watching the Joe Burrow speech from the Heisman that happened this past weekend. This will be probably one of many, many times you watch the video, but I wanted to play it for you again. And oh, by the way, next week we'll have Bunny Cannon on our show to talk about the ties between Joe and her late father, Dr. Billy Cannon. But sit back, relax, and enjoy one more time the great Heisman Trophy acceptance speech from Joe Burrow.
I think the first thing I want to say is I want to thank my O-line first. Sadiq, Adrian, Ed, Lloyd, D-Lou, Austin, Badara, Thad, our tight end with the chips, for guys like Chase. Those guys have been unbelievable this year, and I couldn't have done it without them. I got so many weapons on the outside: Terrace, Jamar, Justin. I mean, those guys have been unbelievable. All my teammates have supported me, welcomed me with open arms. Kid from Ohio, coming down to the Bayou and welcomed me as brothers, and it's been so awesome. I want to thank the Heisman people for a great weekend. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and as well as my family. And it's an honor to stand on the same stage as all of you guys. I grew up watching most of you, and it's just an honor to be on the same stage, eat dinner with you guys. It's been so awesome, and you've all been so kind to me. My parents, like Tom said, my dad had first time in 51 years that he wasn't a player or a coach, and him retiring this year has been, a dream come true for me and my family. My brother's in the audience, my mom. And I'm just so thankful for LSU and Ohio State, playing at two of the best programs in the country, great coaches both places. It's my journey. I wouldn't have traded it for anything in the world. I think the story of this Heisman Trophy, with me, Justin, Jalen, and Chase, we have three transfers who've all had different stories. It's three great players, and both of those guys have pushed through adversity. It's awesome hearing their stories and sharing this weekend with them. I tried to leave a legacy of hard work and preparation and loyalty and dedication everywhere I go. And I'm surrounded by such great people that make that so easy. Great strength coaches. Coach Mick is in the audience, my strength coach from Ohio State, and Coach Moffitt is watching from home, and they've made me a great person and a great player, and so much better because of them. Coming from Southeast Ohio, it's a very, very impoverished area, and The poverty rate is almost 2 times the national average, and there's so many people there that don't have a lot. And I'm up here for all those kids in Athens and in Athens County that, you know, go home to not a lot of food on the table, hungry after school. And you guys can be up here too. I'd like to thank Louisiana, the entire state. Like I said earlier, just a kid from Ohio coming down chasing a dream. And the entire state has welcomed me and my family with open arms and invited us in to be native Louisianians. I've learned to love crawfish and gumbo. And you know, during crawfish season, Coach O makes sure we have pounds and pounds and pounds of crawfish during that year. Coach O. You have no idea what you mean to my family. You know, I didn't play for 3 years. You took a chance on me, not knowing if I could play or not. And I'm forever forever grateful for you. Can you imagine a guy like Coach O giving me the keys to his football program? He just means so much to me and my family. And to LSU, I sure hope they give him a lifetime contract. He deserves it. And then Coach Joe, Coach Steve, Coach Munoz, all here. You know, you guys have helped me through so much, understanding the game, putting so much on my plate that I couldn't ask for a better group of coaches. Help me be successful. So thank you to everyone here. There's so many people that I should thank, and unfortunately I just don't have the time. But those people know what they mean to me and my family, and so when I lift this trophy again, it's for LSU, Ohio State, Southeast Ohio, and all of Louisiana. Thank you.
What a fantastic speech by Joe Burrow. Special thanks to Jacque Doucet of WAFB for being here with us earlier in the show to talk about his goings-on in New York City. And just a magical time to be an LSU fan. It's never going to get old, folks. So enjoy your holidays. Next week, we'll have Buddy Cannon on to talk about Dr. Cannon and what his thoughts would have been on Joe Burrow. We'll see you next week. Sports Shorts presented by LeBaron.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.